What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing great today. Unfortunately, I am the bearer of bad news. Yesterday's video, I had recommended players to not use their Hydra keys in hopes that Plarium rolls back the decision they made for multi-hitters and ally attack champions to be nerfed pretty badly. Unfortunately, the announcement that came across today confirms that everything we saw yesterday is in fact true. Now, I want to make a clarification. The videos in general have, I guess, led players to believe that everybody's account and everybody's teams are going to be affected. That's just not true. The biggest accounts that are going to be affected are the players who are on the leaderboards using teams like this: Teox, Mikage, Incessa, a bunch of ally attack champions, but more specifically, players who are destroying decapitated heads and sinking extra damage into them. If you're not somebody who is destroying decapitated heads all the time anyways, you're not going to feel a massive damage drop. But if you're one of these players who was min-maxing your teams with ally attack champions, you're about to see a massive damage drop. This is so bad because the Trunda teams are about 6x higher than these teams as it is anyways. And after this change, they're going to be even more better off essentially because the Trunda teams aren't really affected by this because Trunda's A2 isn't a multi-hitter and doesn't need an ally attack. So she just blasts all the heads anyways and it doesn't bother her. But these teams all rely on multi-hitters and ally attack champions, so I'm interested to see how much damage they actually deal, but I would be surprised if they're hitting 1 billion damage as easily, which wasn't even easy to begin with considering the top 10 players. Outside that, they're not really hitting 1 billion damage. It's much more difficult, and this is playing on manual. But let's read this announcement. This announcement's pretty lengthy as far as the wording. I'm going to read through all of it, so if you want to stick around for that, go ahead. If not, I want to actually, before I read that and waste your time, if you're not somebody wanting to hear it, let me show you how this is actually going to work. I showed it in yesterday's video, but I want to show it better here. So what we have here is just my team. I'm going to showcase ally attack on an exposed neck as well as a regular head. We're going to use Krisk's provoke. I'm going to try to get these heads down as low as possible and show what's about to happen. So come in here, hit this head, boom. Now this head on the far right, I'm going to use Mikage's ally attack. And what you're going to see is that even through this, Trunda's going to hit. She still goes in and joins the attack. She gets 2 hits onto an exposed neck. That's good. However, whenever we use that same ally attack on an already exposed or decapitated head, we're not going to get that extra attack. Mikage, on her ally attack, is only going to allow the champions to join the attack until the head hits 0 HP. That means you have potential of millions of damage being wasted if you're a player running multiple ally attack champions. It gets pretty severe as far as the damage actually wasted. But it's not only limited to ally attack champions, it's also going to be including multi-hitting skills. So Trunda right here, let me show you what she's about to do. Oh, this head's actually dead now. That's unfortunate. Let's try it on a different head if I can actually make it live long enough. She'll probably just wake all these up. Let's just use A1 on this head. Get it kind of low. We'll use this. We'll do this. Hopefully not kill it. My team is just too strong, apparently. Man. All right, so I'm just going to use A1 there. Use Duchess's buff. That head's at 0 HP. We can agree to that. We're going to use this. Oh, the hex. Okay, no. It didn't actually share. It did actually share the damage. Dang it. It's difficult to make these line up perfectly, apparently. Okay, this is a pretty decent spot. Let's see if we can get the damage sunk through on that one. If not, we'll do it on this one here. We just hit these heads so hard to begin with. It's hard to actually showcase this, unfortunately. Actually, this will work out perfect. We'll use an ally attack. The ally attack's working the same as multi-hitters. There's no difference between them. We'll use an ally attack on this far left head, and you'll see what happens. Trunda, she ain't gonna do nothing. She's in the back of the line, so she gets no damage sunk in. She would have hit for probably 500,000 per hit. That's 1 million damage just from her not being used. But you get the point, hopefully. Multi-hitters, once a head hits 0 HP, it's done. It comes back as a new head, which counts as a new target. Now, this post breaks it down. Hopefully, you can understand it if you didn't understand it visually. After update 9.3, which we're currently in 9.4, we noticed a bug with ally attacks or multi-attack skills. After the target is defeated, the attack animations stop, but the potential damage that would be added to the target will still be counted, creating a number of technical errors because technically the target no longer exists. These errors were increasingly causing issues on the server and needed to be resolved before snowballing into game crashes. Considering the urgency, we promptly addressed the problem and released a bug fix in the 9.4 update, which was yesterday. Unfortunately, due to this mistake on our side, we haven't mentioned this fix in the release notes. Due to the changes to the exposed neck mechanics, unfortunately, this fix also negatively affected Hydra teams. Before Hydra rebalance in 9.3, exposed necks had infinite HP, so all damage counted until a new Hydra head appeared, which prevented the Hydra from being affected by technical errors. Now, this is how things could have worked in the 9.3 version, which is the previous patch version. An exposed neck has a small amount of HP left. You saw this in yesterday's video, by the way. Ally attack or multi-attack was used on that head. All potential damage is added to the score, and then a new head appears. However, that was apparently creating a situation where the game was trying to attack something that no longer existed. Launch attack animations with no targets and deal damage without a target. So now, after the fix, the exposed neck has a small amount of HP left. Ally attack or multi-attacks used on it. Attacks are registered until the target reaches 0 HP, then the skill stops. You're not doing overflow damage. However, Trunda is still doing all of her overflow damage because it's from one skill. Then a new head appears. If damage from a specific hit is greater than the target's HP, the damage will still be added to the full score. This means Trunda's still going to hit just as hard. But multi-hit or team-up attacks stop only upon defeating exposed neck. When an exposed neck replaces a Hydra head, so you destroy the main head, and then an exposed neck comes up, an incoming multi-hit or team-up attack will continue because the exposed neck is different state of the same enemy. On the other hand, the new head is completely different object, so multi-hit and team-up attacks stop after this swap, which is what I showed when Mikage attacked and Trunda still dealt damage to the exposed neck. With the technical aspect out of the way, we want to address the overall situation. Regrettably, this fix was not mentioned in the highlights or release news. This was a mistake on our side, and we'll do our best to prevent this from happening again in the future. Yes, and the videos that came out, I think, were important because a lot of players could have ran Hydra yesterday and been wondering why their team is doing so much less damage when it's not their fault. It's just the changes of Hydra that came across the table. Now, regarding the future of Hydra, while Hydra is not a new feature, we see it as new due to the changes to its core mechanics. We carefully monitor the situation and prepare further adjustments to improve the player experience. The reason why this is especially frustrating is because while you may see it as new because of the changes to its core mechanics, the players who spent hundreds or thousands of dollars building teams don't have a new fund of money to spend again. Like, our stuff's not been refunded. So while it's new, it is the champions we invested in for a long time, the champions we've built, are now basically nerfed extremely hard. We are already testing some of the possible remedies for the 4 Serpent's Will buff situation, which is great to hear, and are looking at champions like Trunda, who might be overperforming, without a doubt, underperforming strategies, and balance adjustments that might be needed to change that. We aim that every change to the feature is done above board and with as much explanation and motivation as we can provide. Now, with that said, all these changes are coming from one champion, Trunda, who's been talked about needing nerfed for years now. If she was changed and Hydra was left as it was, we wouldn't be having these issues. I don't understand why they just can't work harder to just change her specifically. I don't know what changes could be made, but there's been a lot of suggestions. Either way, now's not the time for those suggestions because it's not really going to do anything. They're working on the changes, they say. So hopefully we do have some good changes come through, and hopefully things work out for the best. This is extremely frustrating because it's not just a few champions being affected. Honestly, Trunda's not affected by this at all. Well, slightly from her A3 and her A1, but it's minimal compared to the A2. That's what's doing all the damage anyways. But literally any champion using multi-hit skills is affected. The champions in today's 10X, Acrisia, well, does she have a multi-hit skill? She sure does. AoE, double hit. Her A3 is a double hit skill. Both of those will be affected. Inquisitor Shamel, A2, triple hit, affected. You have champions like Athorion, who's here, affected. These other ones not really affected. But then Padrig, Mikage, Cardiel, any other ally tech champion you're using, they're affected. So it feels bad, guys. It really does feel bad. But that is confirmation that the teams you're building maybe consider not building an ally attack team with crazy high damage. Maybe you go a different route, or maybe you still try to build a team and just don't have your expectations too high. If your team's doing less damage, well, it's not going to be fixed, unfortunately, because that was not a bug that they're going to roll back. It was, in fact, intentional. I hate to see it. It feels bad, but I guess we just got to work around it. There's not really a whole lot more complaining and whining that needs to be done because it's not going to be changed. So take that information for what you may. I just want to clarify from yesterday's video that there is not hope in this getting changed, and at least not yet. So you can use your Hydra keys without worrying about it. So good luck, guys. Hopefully it didn't hurt your damage too badly, and hopefully you can make a great team after this. So thank you all for watching. I love and appreciate all of you, and I'll catch you in the next one.